right, so now let's talk about the inward rotation of the hips. All right, so this inward rotation is predicated upon the idea that opening and closing the quad, that inguinal space through here, is a vital part of drawing power from the ground, having it travel through the body, and then express the upper extremities, right? As the hips open and close, this kind of opening and closing of a door movement. That opening and closing of the door kind of accelerates power up and through, draws it into the belly where it rounds and finds this vector to move through for fa li. As we go into this, we're going to begin, just like in our last video, with isolating the right leg, okay? And to start with, we're just going to take that right hip and roll it in a great big circle. My balance is kind of wonky, that's fine. As this movement of what is circle begins to make sense, I start bringing in my three postural elements we talk about all the time in the studio here. Those again are grabbing the ground with the feet, drawing the umbilicus towards the spine, and raising the head and neck towards the ceiling. Now I'm not going to bring this all at once, that would kind of stifle the movement, make it hard to figure out what's what. I'm going to add them in one at a time. So again, first step, big circles. If my feet are too narrow, it can be hard to feel that circle. I kind of stuck in my own hips. If I widen the gait, or the stance rather, a bit past shoulder width, it's much easier to create that nice big round, okay? From here, the first thing I'm going to do is start grabbing the ground with my feet, all right? As I grab the ground with my feet, that begins to stabilize the movement, and the amplitude of the sway goes from big circle here to much more confined and focused. And again, as I make this change, things might feel kind of robotic and tricksy. That's a normal part of this process. Take your time. Play with how that grab can guide the movement, all right? And then how to use that grab again and the rotation of the hip to get out of your way, okay? The grab, again, closes in the amplitude of that circle. There's not as much room to maneuver. I now need to be more careful with how I move my body and how I'm entering that shape. This can take a little while. Once the circle starts to feel comfortable, then I can add in that umbilical draw to the spine. As I do this, again, I start to feel this roll traversing up my body. I can stay here and play with this for a little bit. Once this is good and comfortable, I add in that raise to the head and neck, and now I can feel that roll moving all the way up through my structure and out through the top. And I can take anywhere from 1 to 4 minutes aside on this, depending on my proficiency, and just how much I want to focus on cleaning up little bitty details. After the left, or the right rather, I go on to the left. Once again, start with great big circles. Just figuring out, again, what is hip, what is circle, how do I make these things come together in the context of my hip. As this arc starts to feel more comfy, I first add in that grabbing of the ground. And once again, it's a little jolty at first, so I slow down, I play with that round, I play with that decreased area of movement that I have, that foot grab. Once that's comfy, I draw the belly button into the spine. I can now feel that roll traveling up my body. And finally, that raise, that head neck. Again, embodying those principles of earth, person, heaven, drawing from the ground, traveling through the person, extending up and beyond. Once this is feeling good, then I start into my figure eight. And once again, because this is a new movement, I'm not going to try to do too much at once. The figure eight is enough. It's plenty confusing to start with. If going fast is making it sloppy, I'm going to slow down and focus on roll to roll, hip to hip. The closing of one is the opening of the other, and vice versa, as I go side to side, rounding that center. As I get more comfortable in this, I'll start adding in my three postural elements. The first, again, being grabbing the ground with the feet. And just like before, that decreased range of movement makes it really tricky. I now have less options in where to go, and it might feel kind of stuck and uncoordinated in the beginning. That's fine. Slow it down. Play with the opening of one being the closing of the other, right to left. as we continuously draw in those great big circles. Once that's nice and smooth, then I can add in the umbilicus drawing towards the spine, and now I feel that movement traveling up through my body. From here, focusing on that raising of the head neck, drawing round and round, feeling that pressure drawing up through the belly, up through the neck as it expresses outwards. Hanging out here between 1 and 5 minutes. There's a little bit of time I can do this as a basic warm-up. If I have more time, I can really delve into the specifics and try to round out the little pieces that need work to make this a much smoother and more powerful move. Thank you so much.